Hello and welcome. This is Balazs, and today I will tell a story about how we can connect people living with ALS through the shared joy of musical co-creation. But before I get into that, I would like to express my gratitude to my whole team and friends. Without you, this bachelor project wouldn't have been this fun and successful. And next, I want to thank all the memorable work and thorough guidance for our supervisors who provided us with great inspiration on the way. Finally, kudos to the members of the Microsoft Enable group who brought us this amazing journey. Now, I want you to meet Alper, who's a truly special human being. Alper is from Turkey, and he used to play the classical guitar as a virtuoso. As he puts it, music represents the color of my spirit, and when I make music, it develops my spiritual life. But unfortunately, Alper got diagnosed with ALS in 1990. Later on, as he started to lose his ability to move, his daughter introduced him to different accessible instruments, such as a breath-controlled instrument and head-mouse-based instrument. He still creates beautiful compositions and uploads them to his YouTube channel. Alper is just a joy to be around. His energy and great advocacy work for the ALS community are very inspiring. So, being inspired by Alper's story, we realized that collaboration is such a key aspect of music. And many people living with ALS or some form of motor impairment who used to be professional musicians, they just can't share the joy of musical co-creation anymore. Inspired by Alper's connection between him and his family, we also thought that collaboration through music could be a meaningful leisure activity to share for pals with their loved ones or their caretakers. We wanted to create a collaborative, accessible, digital musical interface as a universal way for connection for pals, not necessarily having any prior musical expertise. With this twofold mission, we gained inspiration from the Dato Duo, a playful, collaborative synth. We extended its collaboration metaphor to a spatial carousel where one person places beats on the sequencer while the other places different effects on that beat. Then the carousel moves on, the roles are swapped, and they co-create music with the next instrument again until they reach a full circle and the whole composition. Importantly, the collaboration could happen physically, but remotely too. We were advised by the Enable group to focus on eye tracking and follow the extreme constraint design paradigm. This aligned well with eye-driven digital musical instruments reviewed by Hornoff, which led us to design a radial UI connecting eye gaze-based interaction constraints with quantized musical sequencing. We can see the final 16-step radial sequencer with turn-based collaborative mechanics here. After placing beats for some time, the carousel turns, and then we interact with the sliders while a partner places a beat. Every target size was chosen to be appropriate for eye trackers, and colors were chosen to reduce eye fatigue as much as possible. We implemented eye gaze-based sliders, you can see them now, which worked surprisingly well while testing them. The main body of the sliders providing a convenient path to follow with eye gaze. We also strive to keep the design accessible for pals. One main feature is the Euclidean sequencer. This provides accessible interaction on two levels, corresponding to the previously mentioned two goals of DuoRhythmo. One, it helps users to make harmonic beats with no musical knowledge by spacing out beats equally on the sequencer. We can see that now that it's 6 beats, and then now we activate it, it's 4, then we can increase it to 5, and then 6 equally spaced out beats. And number 2, it enables making more complex sounds this way with fewer interactions, reducing eye fatigue for pals. For the eye fatigue issue, we also embraced customization, which was highly suggested by Frid et al. As being a crucial and an accessible digital musical interface. Here we can see customizable dwell time feedback for eye tracking. We further embodied customization when contacting the International Alliance of ALS and MND associations. We connected with the community to further empathize with our target group through several interviews and sessions with pals and their caretakers. We increased support for multiple input methods as we learned that pals prefer to use the regular interaction methods until they can. Then, as ALS progresses, they shift to accessible mice, and finally, in the later stages, they rely more on constrained input methods. So we came up with this continuum of supported interaction methods based on the progression of ALS. Involving the community more in our process, we also wanted to evaluate the prototype with pals. This is usually difficult because we are talking about a particularly sensitive target group. Some folks might use a respirator, some might use alternative communication devices. But we could adopt many great methods from the research community to do our user testing with great precautions. We were also in the middle of a global pandemic, which just further complicated these special conditions. So to get an overview of the user experience of a collaborative, accessible digital musical interface, we chose a mixed methods remote user experience evaluation with the System Usability Scale and the Microsoft Desirability Toolkit. We had 5 pals to test out DuoRhythmo from all around the world, co-creating music with one of the members of the research group remotely. You can see Alper again here during his testing session. We are aware that a small sample size of only 5 pals to test is not too comprehensive quantitatively, but using the System Usability Scale helped us to follow an explanatory study and based on the quantitative data, use the qualitative data to uncover deeper tendencies. The Microsoft Desirability Toolkit helped pals to form a basis for their opinion more easily, and they could elaborate on each card at their own pace via an interview. You can see the distribution of words on this slide, the green bars for positive words and the red bars for negative words. We processed the qualitative data via thematic analysis and identified 6 main themes. I'm not going to get into most of them in detail, I would just like to highlight a couple of quotes from some themes. People don't have to think they are ill or something, you know? They can forget their minds, and I don't have a problem forgetting with my mind, but I know a lot of people have trouble with it, so I think it can help them. It's stimulating because the rhythm is the basis of life, I think, and when I play the rhythm and the rhythm's around, I feel some positive feelings that stimulate me. From an accessibility perspective, being able to use eye gaze, I think it's huge, and my arms get tired easily, so that's why I use both mouse and eye gaze. You know, I'm not a musician. At first glance, the screen, the interface can feel like a lot, so I think it's a relative thing. It really depends on the player. And then as people play along, learn and get up to speed about the app, it may not be complex anymore. One key aspect we decided to focus on was designing a very accessible and pulse-centered remote testing procedure. We ensured that the experience wouldn't be draining, so we sent out a detailed agenda before, alongside a short tutorial of the prototype. Then pals could review them and prepare for the testing session. We also had a couple of researchers present during the testing session. If any technical problems occur, which they actually did, as that is very likely to happen with an uncontrolled setup, we could resolve that quite quickly. We received praise from our test participants on including a multitude of accessible inputs. One of our participants actually used her eye tracker and the trackpad simultaneously. On the other hand, we learned that musical expertise did impact the user experience. As more experienced musicians found more joy in expressing themselves through DuoRhythmo, this became apparent from the System Usability Scale and the thematic analysis tool. Finally, they pointed out that having a CADMI was a very interesting way of reaching out to each other. We are happy that our extension of accessible digital musical interfaces to the collaborative domain was praised by end users in this initial study. So we want to encourage the research community to think about having CADMIs as an extension of accessible digital musical interfaces and include collaboration as a key component where loneliness and depression induced by a specific disability could be prevalent. But what about the future of DuoRhythmo? Since finishing this project's first iteration, which the paper actually encompasses, the whole team felt that involving the ALS community in the design process was really rewarding and a very powerful experience for us. We wanted to give back more. We wanted to extend DuoRhythmo from a research prototype to a research product. So we just worked more to fix some usability issues and added new features based on user feedback. We also improved the collaboration experience as suggested by pals. To reach more people, we needed to guide DuoRhythmo outside the lab. So right now, it is freely available to download from the Microsoft Store, and it's ready to be used by pals and other motor impaired music-loving folks. And yeah, one last thing, maybe you are wondering why I talked about the collaborative musical experience so much and I haven't played any music yet. Well, I would like to take the opportunity now. I'm finishing my presentation. We can listen to some pleasant beats in the background. So that was me, Balazs Ivanyi, presenting DuoRhythmo at CHI 2023. I'm ready to take your questions now. Thank you so much.